Welcome back to the Mark Worch Show. This is episode negative 16. We're getting closer to episode 21 where I interview someone live. Finally, I'm not doing these solo acts, which I don't mind, but it's a whole different level of expertise. I'm going to have to really, I don't know how to really interview someone either. I did a little bit during the documentary film that I did, but it'll be interesting. So the whole dynamics will change. So on one hand, it's hard just talking straight to the camera, having things to talk about. But on the other hand, having to facilitate conversation and facilitate an interview in itself will be its own challenge. So definitely look forward. How am I doing here? Am I peaking? Definitely looking forward to the challenge on that. Let's up this baby a little bit. Got a little bit. Okay. Hopefully we're not dying out there too much. So today I wanted to talk about. So my wife and I are getting together. We're putting money aside for our son's college. So we found a Florida prepaid, and basically we can prepay for his entire college in advance. There's 3 different tiers, and by the time he's ready to go to college, we can have the entire thing paid off. The 3 different tiers, you can make a one lump sum payment altogether. You can make or there's other 2 tiers where you can make monthly payments over the course of like 10 or 15 years. Now the lump sum payment, 28 grand, one shot, guarantees him $63,000 of value in any Florida university that he wants to go to. Now Florida also guarantees that if the price is higher than $63,000 for a 4-year degree, they'll also cover the difference. So it's 75 grand, they'll pay for the 75 grand. If he wants to go out of state, that he still gets the $63,000 in value, which he can move over to any university in the entire country. So what we like about that, it's a nice guarantee for sure that his college will be paid off, taken care of. And then if he decides not to go to college, he'll get the initial contribution of the 28 grand. So we're going to pay this thing one lump sum, boom, done and over with. So we're really thankful to be able to do that. Son won't have loans and his college will be paid off. But obviously, we wanted to look into other alternatives, so we found out about this, the 529 college plan. And my understanding of this is I can actually put a lot more money into it. It basically functions like a Roth IRA, right? You put your money into the Roth IRA. It's capped at $7,000 as of 2024. And you can take your money out when you're 59 and a half for 3 other criteria that could be met prior to that. First-time home buying, disability, or the beneficiary, someone passes away. So 59 and a half, you take the money out, tax-free, but you don't get a deduction when you're putting the money in. So college 529 plan operates the exact same way as a Roth, except the contribution limits are higher. They're like around 15 grand or 10 or 15 grand annually. So my wife and I can do that. And I went ahead and did a compound calculator. So you're putting the money in the 529 plan for 18 years for the kid. So if we were only do $500 a month, which is $6,000 a year, 18 years, 10%, that's almost 300 grand by the time he's 18 that he can use for college. And that also, so that all that's tax-free. You can take that money out, tax-free. I got to look it up, but it's books, tuition. I don't know if it's for dormitories. I got to look into housing, but it's definitely for books and tuition, which is great. And then any money left over, he can roll over to a Roth IRA. And now he's got a ton of money starting off at 18, building up for retirement. So even if you just left that, actually, let's just do this. Even if you left that $300,000 in, let's say he used a little bit for college, 100 grand for college. And then let's say he left 200 grand in his Roth IRA and didn't contribute anymore. 18, let's just do 30 years at 10%. Let's just say $1 because it won't let me do that. So it's too much money is what it says. If you have too much money, if he starts off with 200 grand, it doesn't even calculate that. Holy cow. That's fucking crazy. Oh, for 300 years. Unbelievable. $4 million. So if he takes that $200,000, I can tell my wife this is crazy. If he takes that extra $200,000, he rolls it over to the Roth IRA. He'll have to, because it's not used for qualified education expenses, after 35 grand of leftover money, you're penalized on it. I didn't look up the penalties, probably 10%. So If he's got 200 extra grand, he's got to pay 20 grand. He's still got $180,000. But for the math's sake, $200,000, he rolls that over at age 18 at 10% return for 30 years in his Roth. Now he's 48. What? 1858. I'm retarded. I cannot do math right now. So if he puts that 200 grand in his Roth IRA and doesn't put another penny in and just lets it sit there at 10%, 40 years, when he takes the money out, I'll have $10 million. That's a pretty good investment strategy. Now that I'm thinking about that, I might put that in his will. Say that he can't touch that money. It goes straight to his Roth and he can't touch it until he's 59 and a half. Wow. But anyway, so that got me thinking 529 plan is an alternative to the prepaid college. With my wife and I were talking, we're like, why don't we just do that anyways? We might as well. On top of the prepaid, do the 529 plan. The other alternative is actually buying our son a property. So let's say we buy our son a property right now. We put about $30,000 down, we get a $350,000 property, right? We want to pay it off in 18 years instead of 30 years. You make the extra payment a year. 30-year mortgage goes down to 19 years. So we'll make an extra payment and a little bit extra. It'll be paid off by the time he's in college. So real estate on average doubles every 10 years, but let's be conservative and say the real estate will double in 20 years. So we buy the $350,000 house today, and in 20 years, it's completely paid off and it's worth 700 grand. Just like that, from our son has 700 grand. We've had a tenant in there the whole time. We paid $0 on it. If we're cash flowing, let's say we're not cash flowing, we're just breaking even, we paid $0 on it. Plus, my wife and I, for the last 18 years, have had the benefit of all the tax deductions in owning the real estate. And then when our son gets the house when he's 18 years old, there's a lot of options. How are we going to take that 700 grand out? So we can refinance it. He won't be able to because he won't be working. He'll be 18 years old and he won't be able to cash out on $700,000 property unless he's fucking flushing cash at that age. Who knows? Maybe he'll be making more than us. So my wife and I could do a cash out refinance, give him the cash, and we could still keep the house at that point. And then we could decide what we want to do with the house. We could just flat out sell the house. Then we're going to have capital gains tax of 15% or whatever it'll be in 18 years. So my wife and I could structure it. So it looks like that we lived in the house 2 of the last 5 years, or maybe we did. And then right now, a married couple filing together, $500,000 capital gains on the sale of a primary residence. Yeah. So we'll only pay 15% on the remaining $200,000. That's how we'll eliminate taxes or really reduce the amount of taxes we'll have to pay. So that's one strategy. Refinance it. If he wants to move into it, he can just keep renting it and live off the rental income. There's so many options. So out of the prepaid college, the 529 college plan, and buying a house wins by far. It's a landslide. Now I understand not everyone has $30,000 to go buy a house or pay off college right off the rip. But if you can, or you can save up and buy an investment property for your child, the return speaks for itself. In 20 years, put down 30 grand in 20 years, it's worth 700 plus all the interim income you had during that time period, plus all the depreciation, all of the property taxes, everything that you're able to write off, the mortgage interest, the PMI, everything you wrote off, which is lowering your taxes throughout that 18 years. That's a great investment. Whereas 30 grand for the Florida prepaid is only getting $63,000, but it's guaranteed. So we're still going to go for that. The return is just so much higher. And you can see even the 529 plan at 10%, it's giving him, after he pays for college, about $200,000 left over. So those are the options. Right now, we set him up for the prepaid. It's looking like we're going to do the 529 plan, and we're definitely buying him at least one investment property. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. I feel like my mind doesn't function. I'm really getting interested to start interviewing people because honestly, a couple of reasons. One, I think when you're interviewing people, there's a different type of prep. When I'm doing these type of one-on-one videos, I really think I would benefit to doing a lot more preparation. Like, for example, this type of video talking about 529 plans. This would obviously be helpful if I had visual graphics going on the screen, if I had an outline, if I had an Excel sheet that I put in the video description, you guys download for free. I'm probably going to end up doing that and then just re-recording this video, but making it a little more structured, a little more formal, a little more like educational classroom style. Perhaps stand in front of the marker board or be on my laptop and just show digitally what I'm doing. That way I can provide more of a visual comparison. Shoot, so fucking tight. I think when I interview people, that's what I was getting at. When I interview other people, I'll research that person and what they're doing and come up with like questions to ask. Whereas when I'm doing these solo videos, it's like, okay, I feel like I'm not facilitating a conversation. I'm explaining a topic or a theory or an idea or philosophy to you guys. And that requires more of an outline. Obviously, I want to have sources and I want it to be structured and make the information as best as possible. But that requires a lot of prep. And again, I'm doing 0 to no prep for these first 20 videos. So prior to interviewing the first person, I'll put in an hour of research, probably 30 minutes of research on that person, put together a list of questions or things I want to ask. Perhaps the last 3 questions, come up with really cool, random, weird, exciting questions. Research the industry that person's in, so I have really good questions to ask them. And then probably have basic general questions that I ask everyone, and then specific questions. Just get that person to talk about their life and talk about the story about their life and come up with something interesting. So it's a completely different dynamic. I watch Pedro's Cooley. I watch his podcast, and he's got his little notebook in front of him about what he wants to talk, but he's got his outline right there, and he kind of goes over everything. And that guy's a beast at public speaking and a beast with his podcast. So, but he does all solo stuff, except every now and then he'll talk to somebody that works with him on camera. Anyways, that's all I got for today. This is the Mark Worch Show, and this is episode -16. I see you guys next time. Thanks.